Damn, we're actually late this time. We're actually late this time.
Whoa! This has never happened before. I think that's a first. Welcome, welcome. It is us, the mode of dark, coming to you
Yes,
live from Noah's haircut.
that is right. Thank you for noticing.
Did you get them all cut?
I got a good amount of them cut, or
Hmm.
I'd say I got them all trimmed. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely feeling a bit of a trim, more so than a cut, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if I were bald, that would be one thing, but I'm not.
Yeah,
I
that
do
would
think
be
it's
a
a little
shave.
bit. That would be a shave. I mean, I guess you could call it a cut. I will say this is probably shorter than I usually have it, but I guess it'll last a little bit longer, so that's all
I
right.
guess so. I've definitely not seen your hair that short in quite a while. It's
Yeah, I
odd.
think the hairstylist took a little bit of liberty making it shorter, but that's all right.
Yeah. Well, who can really complain? We've got the new Apple Watch Ultras to keep us happy.
That's right. Very happy.
And in fact, I don't know, Noah. I'm kind of feeling like maybe we just get right into it.
Yeah, we should. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. I'll give you
Yeah.
I'll give you multiple seconds even.
Oh, thank you.
I'm feeling generous.
All right. If you'd like to get into it, I think I'm ready to go.
Alrighty. Welcome to Dark Mode, the podcast that brings you sage advice from two technology experts. And that's not just what we call ourselves, it's what our moms tell people when the Apple Watch is, in fact, Ultra. I'm your host, Luke Miani.
And I'm your host, Noah Rubin. On this show, we take questions from listeners, attempt to answer them to varying degrees of success, and maybe even have a laugh or two along the way.
And in fact, our first matter of business here is we have a very bold claim here from Neil, who predicts the first panel will fall in 15 minutes. So you know what? Set a timer for 15.
There's nothing to
Oh my God, I hate Siri.
Classic Siri.
Set a timer for 14 minutes and 40 seconds.
14 minutes and 40 seconds. Counting down.
There we go. Let's see. The timer is official. Chop, chop. Let's see if Neil is correct.
I would not be surprised.
Everyone is saying that all the panels are going to fall. I suppose the balance of evidence would suggest that that is the most likely scenario.
Yes, I have not put new adhesive. Maybe that's something we could look into next week. But,
Yes. And as a matter of fact, great segue, Noah. Next week, we'll be coming to you. That's right. Live. Yeah. Yeah. The crowd goes wild. Rah.
live and in person, I think is
Yes.
the important distinction.
I missed that. You're right. In person.
Yes.
We're gonna both be in front of the wall panels.
Yes, we will both be in this very room in front of these very wall panels, and it's very exciting.
Wow, what an amazing day.
Yeah.
It's going to be our most in-person podcast, and we think you'll really love it.
Yep, most in-person podcast in more than a year. Kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wait, when was the last time we did an in-person episode? Was it like July of 2021?
Probably. I don't think we've done it
Goodness.
since I moved out here.
Oh,
I don't know. Long time.
That's so sad. Golly. Well, I think we got to get into it by let's first take a little pit stop on the news corner before we start talking about the Apple Watch Ultra, which I know both of us have a lot to say.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the most recent bit of news. Mark Gurman just today, earlier, said that apparently Apple is not, in fact, planning an October event, but that all the remaining new products of the year will instead be press releases.
I think I did read that earlier today on Twitter.
I have to say, I'm a little sad. I really enjoy when we get to watch an Apple event.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching the Apple events. Obviously, we do our live stream. We get to do bingo. It's always a lot of fun. I guess maybe it's not the most surprising thing because a lot of the products that we're expecting are like spec bumps, especially like the MacBook
Mm.
Pros, the iPad. Maybe no, I don't know if it'll be a redesign, but maybe they'll move the camera or something. But nothing, like the iPhone and the Apple Watch. I could see them doing a press release. I mean, they did it for the AirPods Max even. Like that was kind of crazy to be a press release. But
Yeah.
I mean, they've done press releases before. I could see them doing it again, but I do love a good Apple event, like you said.
Yeah, and honestly, I have to say, I think this news of press releases being a thing is probably as good as you can get of an indication that this year's MacBook Pros are going to just be M2 Pro and M2 Max. No additional configurations, probably no additional features. I think it's literally just going to be the CPUs, or not the SoCs, is what I meant to say, because I'm a technology expert, and that's not just what we call ourselves. That's what our moms tell people when the Apple Watch is Ultra. But
Exactly.
I would honestly be surprised if the reviews end up being all that compelling. Of course, you guys know I'm going to be buying the new stuff. God, they keep just taking money right out of my pockets. They put it in there by giving me videos, but then they just take it right back out again every time. 3, 4, 5 times a year. They're just like, "Hey, guess what, Luke? It's time for more money. Say goodbye." And I'm like, "No, I want the money." And they're like, "No, you don't. You don't get it. It's not yours." And I'm like, "No."
That's the circle of life. It could be symbiotic, it could be parasitic. That's up for you to decide, but there's a give and take there. That's how it is.
There's mostly a take
Yeah.
if you think about it.
I mean, I will say that, if you're able to, you make all your videos are, about Apple. So they're giving
Mhm.
you something to talk about. They're taking your money, don't get me wrong, but they are giving you something to talk about. So there's something there.
You know, you're not wrong. I can't argue with that. But one thing that is standing out to me here is another person with a fantastic name. Some might even say the best name in
Hmm.
chat here uh, pointed out, does this news mean no Mac Pro this year? And I think almost certainly there will not be a Mac Pro this year. I think the Mac Pro, look, I honestly, as soon as we got M2, I started thinking, okay, Mac Pro's not coming yet. Because the Mac Pro is, I think it deserves a bigger internal rework than what the M2 chip is. The M2 is a little bit of a spiced up M1. They just did a little ECU tune and bumped up the horsepower a little bit, right? That's all they did. But the Mac Pro needs more than that. As we found out with the Mac Studio, right? You can't just keep scaling the same cores forever and ever. You're going to run out of a point of diminishing returns. So for the Mac Pro, they're going to need something new and different. They're going to need a truly next generation Apple Silicon core.
Yeah, that's a good point because I honestly forgot about the Mac Pro, and I know it was teased at one of the previous Apple events, and I honestly just forgot about it. Obviously, with the MacBook Pros this year, we're expecting minor spec bumps because we just got the big new design last year, and that design is going to stick around. They'll make tweaks to it. There's our wall panel, by the way.
Oh, man. Let me tell you what, though. I'm going to pause it here. We had 7.5 minutes on the countdown. So unfortunately, Neil, You didn't win this time. I'm sorry, buddy.
Do you think was the prediction within 15 minutes or at 15 minutes?
I believe my impression was okay. I found the comment here. I predict first panel in 15 minutes. That sounds like the first panel will fall in 15 minutes from 8:52. And it is unfortunately only 9:01. So
I
they
read
made it
that
about
as
9 minutes.
within. That to me was more of a within, but it is ambiguous. It
Hmm.
is ambiguous, definitely.
So Neil says predicted within. I'm gonna give partial credit to that because I feel like that's a bit broad. You know, I feel like you guys are kind of redefining the criteria after the fact. I don't think it's that. You know, if I were to say, "Hey Noah, I think between 1 and 6 wall panels will fall before 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time." Like, I don't think I get any points for that because it's basically a guaranteed. Do I get points for saying I believe the sun will rise between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock a.m.? No. You got to be precise.
Well, maybe you get proportionally fewer points. You know, you get like a fraction of a point for that.
Okay. I could get on board with that. So if anyone wants to put down here a specific guess for our next wall panel, then we're talking. And I'm not talking about within. I need you to give me a number of minutes. I'll put on a timer and we'll see what happens.
All right.
Fair?
I think that's fair. Now, while we wait for that, what were we talking about?
The Mac
Mac
Pro.
Pro. The Mac Pro.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, small spec bumps for the MacBook Pros that we're expecting in October, and a lot of the other machines that have been upgraded, but the Mac Pro hasn't been touched yet since Apple Silicon. And I definitely agree with you, especially if you look at the Mac Studio, that almost seems like, you know, like you were saying, sort of the limit of where Apple can take what they have right now. And so the Mac Pro
Definitely.
needs to be, you know, a level, at least one full level above that, whatever a full level means. It needs to really be, you know, a next, you know, a higher tier product. And I don't think that they're ready for that yet. So I agree with you.
I've got our comment here. Next wall panel in 8 minutes. Timer is now started. Let's see what happens. Now, I think you're right, Noah, that the Mac Pro isn't going to change the game for a lot of people. Like, as you mentioned, you forgot about it. Honestly, I don't think I need a Mac Pro. I'm very happy with my Mac Studio. I would love it to be a little bit more optimized and have things that can take advantage of its hardware more effectively. But quite honestly, Noah, I could see myself buying a Mac Pro, making a video on it, and then putting it up on eBay. I legitimately don't think that it's going to be that big a deal for most people, but it will be the benchmark for high performance, efficiency focused computing because that just doesn't exist. All the high perform, all these like workstations, high performance big guys, they are chunky, they are huge, they consume a ton of power and make a ton of noise.
That's true. And I definitely think, you know, I think across the board on all the Macs, the level of work that you do to need a higher tier machine has gone way up to the point where, like
Absolutely.
when I tried the M1 MacBook Air, you know, back in 2020 or 2021 before this came out, it was honestly fine for me. Obviously, you know, it's kind of a small screen, but as far as the performance goes and like the processor and all of that, it was totally fine. Whereas, you know, in the past, a MacBook Air would not have been fine. So across the board, that's gone up to the point where even, you know, like the MacBook Pro, obviously the one that I have is pretty, you know, very overkill for me. But it's definitely gone up across the board. But there are some people out there who could use a Mac Pro, whatever that will look like.
Absolutely. And I think that's an interesting point that you mentioned. You said that the amount that you need to do to require a high-end computer has gone up.
Mhm.
And I think what we're seeing is a combination of factors. Number one, computers are just longer lasting and more broadly proficient than they used to be. And number two is I think that the demand for more performance has lowered. So a lot of people say, oh, computers are stagnating. Moore's law is dying because computers aren't getting exponentially faster anymore. I think there is quite a decent chance. Oh no. 5 minutes and 8 seconds were left on the timer there. Let's start taking bets for the next wall panel. I'll keep an eye on chat. But about Moore's law, I think when you really look at it, it's not as big. I don't think that the big news is, oh, computers aren't accelerating as fast as they used to. I think it's that workflows aren't accelerating as fast as they used to. The amount of like performance that most people need isn't increasing from year to year. So your computer lasts longer to do that.
Yeah, that's a really good point because especially first of all, if you think about the average person, I'm talking about the average person, not the average tech enthusiast, programmer, video editor, whatever. The average person who is, using they're basically using their computer like a Chromebook, doing everything on the internet, maybe some of the built-in, Apple apps, whatever, but very basic stuff. You could argue that we've gotten to what they need a long time ago, but especially with Apple Silicon, fixing the thermal throttling issues and the heating issues, and fixing the battery life issues and all of that stuff, I feel like they're in a really good place. And then for the pros, I agree that the technology has advanced faster than the need for the workflows has, and these things like the Apple Silicon chips have special sub processors or special components or whatever that speed up these tasks and just make things that would have been too slow before are now taken care of by dedicated hardware, and it just kind of gets rid of those issues. And there aren't as many things that are coming up where you need beefier hardware because it's either not coming up or it is, and you kind of have something else to take care of it. So I definitely agree. I definitely agree about that.
I've got DJ Craze here saying 4 minutes. The stopwatch is started. And you're right. Apple Silicon uses hardware accelerators to prevent you needing just brute force. I mean, when I run a Final Cut export, I'm not pinning my CPU or my GPU on the the Mac Studio with the M1 Ultra. I almost said Apple Watch because I'm so used to that being the Ultra now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the other thing is if you think back to Windows XP and then Windows Vista, remember how with each of those operating system upgrades, they were so much visually ahead of their predecessors that computers couldn't even run the operating system?
Yeah, like the Vista, what was it called? Like the Aero glass looking stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
That was so
no.
quick.
That was like
That
a
was so
minute.
quick.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, we'll wait for some other. We'll wait for some other guesses on time here. So far, we've gotten a couple people getting close, but no cigar yet.
They're overestimating.
And
They're all overestimating.
absolutely, yeah. The thing that is, yeah. So Windows Vista Aero, right? That was a perfect example of like that particular update was so big in terms of its demand on hardware that it was like, oh, I gotta upgrade my PC just to run the operating system. You don't have that issue anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially, yeah, because definitely Vista was like that to a big extent. And I feel like some of the other Windows releases were, and even Mac OS kind of, especially like going to Leopard. That was like a pretty big one. I don't know how much of a strain that put on computers at the time, but there were definitely some bigger upgrades. Whereas now I feel like it's a lot more incremental. In terms of we're getting good software updates, but they're more incremental and less intensive on the hardware.
I got to give a quick shout out here to Ian Zelbo, ladies and gentlemen, correctly called 9:09 p.m. East Coast time. That is exactly when the wall panel fell. So, Ian, you get a prize, and your prize is a hearty congratulations. So, I hope you enjoy that.
Congratulations.
And apparently, I mean, we'll see if this is true. Someone's going to have to go back and check the tapes here, but Ian thinks that he got it within like 5 seconds. So if that is the case, then you get 2 hearty congratulations. So congratulations heartily.
Yes.
Now, what were we talking about?
We were talking about software, operating system upgrades demanding hardware.
Yes. I mean, look, the only reason Apple keeps kicking stuff off their hardware is not because it can't run it. It's because of marketing. Like, I get that when they discontinued like the 2011 and before graphics because they didn't support Metal, that I could understand because Metal just does not work on those GPUs. You can try to make it, but it won't. And that wall panel fell real early. They're dropping like flies.
Yeah, this
But like,
adhesive is done.
it's toast, bro. The thing is, though, like that is honestly kind of a bygone era. I think the vast majority of people, even that still use those 2011s on older Mac OS versions, like they still work just fine. 11, 12, 13-year-old Macs. That just was not something that was the case. If you go equidistant, right now you talk about a 12-year-old Mac that's 2010. Think about in 2010 using a 1998 PowerBook. Or I don't even
that's a
think they had the
huge difference.
PowerBook at that point. No, they did. I'm stupid.
Well, whatever it was, it's definitely a huge difference, and it's definitely a bigger difference, like you're getting at.
Here, wait. You know what? I got a visual demonstration of this. Okay, everyone knows what a 2010 MacBook looked like.
Okay, that wall panel, someone's like banging on the doors or like slamming a door shut or something. So that was I don't know, there was something going on there.
That was a little bit of a biased situation.
I was not natural. I think one of
saying?
my roommates might be in cahoots with someone here in the chat.
Interesting. They're
Need to be
trying to
careful.
get. That's no good. You've got an inside man.
Yes.
But like, think about it this way, right? Here's a 12-year-old MacBook right now, and this one's actually 14. So I'm even exaggerating, right? This, like, yeah, it does not look brand new. We all know what a unibody MacBook looks like, but it's a very similar idea to what we currently have. But if you look at what a 12-year-old or 14-year-old laptop looked like in 2010, what you're looking at is this guy, the PowerBook
yes.
G3 Wall Street. And I think it's pretty safe to say that you can really see the difference that has happened in the last 24 years. This is the same age as you and I know. This is a 1998.
Good year.
Very good year. Birthed a lot of wonderful podcast hosts. Birthed the iMac. Hey, that's a big one. Oh, that was quite a ruckus.
Yeah, I'm glad that one didn't hit me in the head.
It got close though.
Yeah. They're coming
Oh,
for me, I'll tell
gosh.
you.
The game is over, though, unfortunately. I think a lot of people really live for the wall panel game, and it does make them sad to see it over at 9:15, which I
Yeah,
can understand.
I think our viewership is about to take a nosedive.
Oh, it's already we've halved in about
Mm,
10 seconds. People are just like, the suspense is ruined, gone.
it's unfortunate.
You know what's not unfortunate though?
What's not unfortunate?
The Apple Watch Ultra.
Oh yes, there it is.
Oh, and you know what? It perfectly matches the orange accent of your jacket.
That's right. This is not a tag. This is an accent. I really like the way that you put it there.
Wait, is there no other orange on that jacket? I
There
thought that there
is
was some
there is
orange.
this. I think this is
Okay,
also supposed to come off.
very
Is
possibly.
is there any
What
other
about the
orange on this
liner?
jacket? You know what? There is in here. There
Oh,
is the label. So there's your orange.
international orange, I think is what Apple would call that, right?
Yeah, I like it. It's nice, very bright and very punchy. It's
I
fun.
have to say, so we both got the Alpine Loop because it's I would say I was a little torn between the Alpine Loop and the Trail Loop. The Trail Loop definitely I've heard is very light, breathable, super convenient, but I believe they were just like not delivering. Like there's something up with that band. It's just not available.
Hmm. Really?
Yeah. Did you pick the Alpine Loop out of like desire or out of ability to order?
No, I picked this one. I'll tell you why. So the trail loop is the other one, right? And that one to
Yeah,
me looked a lot like the existing. I forget what it's called, but like the existing things that like look like they're made out of the same material.
I do agree. That was part of why I picked the new one, the Trail Loop as well.
Yeah, so one of the reasons was because like not that those bands looked bad. I wasn't a huge fan of the color schemes that they had. But mainly, that band looks like whatever the other ones are called that they have, and I have a bunch of like third party super cheap ones of those already. But I picked this one. I liked it in orange because I felt like that was kind of I don't know if this is like the flagship color or if there really is a flagship color, but also it matches the orange accents. So on the digital crown and the action button, the orange matches. That was why I picked this color.
Let's go ahead and pull up here the Apple Watch bands page. So you went for the orange Alpine Loop for the aforementioned reasons, which I think are honestly pretty valid. And I definitely did consider the orange because, the action button, the crown, having it all matchy matchy. But at the end of the day, I kind of realized, okay, look, the orange is a very specific look, and I don't know that it vibes with my like general button down wearing demeanor. It's not. It would be a band that I would definitely not wear to a formal event. I feel like if I showed up to a formal event with this green Alpine loop, I would not get people going, are you like late to a running event after this? Do you know what I mean? I think it's a little more versatile.
I agree. I definitely think I like the green color. Don't get me wrong. I definitely do think it's more versatile. For me, I already have a small collection of third party bands, and
Mhm.
they still work on this Apple Watch. Like I have one that's dedicated for sleep, so I put it on when I go to bed and I, do sleep tracking and then I take it off. I have one that's like dedicated for exercise, whatever. So I already have a couple of other bands if I need to. I'm not one to go to a formal occasion very usually. It's
Yeah,
very
same.
rare. It's very rare that I end up there. So I went with the orange one because I thought it would be a fun band, definitely not for everyday occasion, but I probably have something else if I need it.
That's a good point. I mean, I know that you've definitely been, and I've never been like this. You've definitely been a multiple watch bands guy. If I remember correctly, you have had three that you have in rotation for your Series 5. You had the sport band that it came with for sleeping, and then you had one that you wore during the day and one when you went biking.
Yeah, the sport band that it came with, like the silicon band, that's my exercise band. I have one that's like the trail loop material, and that was like my everyday band. And then I had one that was kind of like the solo loop material, and that is my sleep band. And I have a couple of other ones that are similar that I don't really use too much. So I have a couple, and they're all super cheap, like $2, $5, $10 on Amazon. So
Yeah,
I just have a couple of different ones that I switch through.
I think, I think that I might do that for the Ultra. I think it's. I basically had my Series 5 and I got the Milanese loop, which was a pretty expensive band and was more than I wanted to spend. But I basically just kept that forever and ever and ever. I had that loop since the day I got the watch in 2019. I wore it for 3 years. I never really changed the watch band. I kind of regret not having some bands because it's a really quick and, like you mentioned, for $5, a very cheap way to change up your look. I have to say, I think I was expecting I was expecting to dislike the look of the Apple Watch Ultra and need to salvage it with additional bands. But now that I have it in person, I'm really liking the Alpine Loop and I'm really liking the look of the Apple Watch Ultra itself. I was so skeptical, but I actually think it looks super tight.
Yeah, I was also, because I think we talked about this a little bit, just or like texted about it a little bit, but like I was like, oh man, this thing's gonna be so big, it's gonna be so chunky, I'm gonna have to return it, it's gonna be crazy. But then like now that I have it and I'm wearing it, I don't know, it's like so big, but it's so much fun. I love how big the screen is. It's like the flat display is actually really nice. Like
Really nice.
I really there's a lot that I like about this watch. And honestly, I will say it is pretty chunky, but it doesn't feel that much heavier than my previous Apple Watch.
I definitely noticed that as well. I thought that the weight would be the big, like, really irritating factor, but it honestly does not feel big on the wrist. It does look big. Full honesty, Ian's asking, should I buy the Ultra? He's stuck. He doesn't know what to do. I have to be honest, you guys. If you have small wrists, it does look absurd. Some people think it looks absurd on my like pretty medium-sized wrists, and that may well be the case, but I personally don't find it hard to live with, apart from the fact that it's hard to get it in like the sleeve of my jacket. It fits, but it's not, it doesn't ship for a low flat rate. It's barely in there, if you
Uh-huh.
catch my drift.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know, even if it does look kind of silly, I don't know because I've shown it to a couple of people and their reaction's like, "Oh, wow." And I don't know if that's just because it's like a new thing or it looks different or because it's so big. But I
Mm,
kind of like that. I want to have like
yeah.
I'm getting, for me, like I like to have the latest gadgets and I like to, be like using them and whatever. And then if people see it, they're like, "Oh, wow, that's like really big," or like, "Oh, that's really cool," or whatever, then I'm like, yeah, it's cool. We should talk. Let's talk about it. It's like I like that it's like a big thing. I don't know. Does it look? I mean, it's not really here. Does this look too big? I don't know. It looks like it's not on my wrist right,
I
but it's
mean,
all
it's
right.
big. There's no
It's
getting
definitely
around the
big.
size, but I like it. I know one of the things that Noah, you and I have both really enjoyed, especially coming from the Series 5, is having the on-screen keyboard, and especially with the swipe gestures and the large screen, it's surprisingly usable.
Yeah, honestly, like the keyboard with the with the autocorrect, and even without, because sometimes like if you type a swear word or an acronym that it doesn't recognize, you have to actually type it out. But it's totally usable, which I don't like. I kind of don't understand
Yeah.
how, but like it is. It's like it's pretty cool.
No, it actually kind of shocked me how usable the keyboard was. I was using it. I was in the airport immediately after I filmed my unboxing video. I went to the airport for a project that I will tell you guys about towards the end of this episode because it's very interesting. And I don't even think I told you all of this detail, Noah.
I don't think so.
But I was in the airport and I was talking with Noah and some other people, and I was just standing there at the gate, didn't want to pull out my phone. I was just swiping away on my watch, and I was absolutely stunned by how good it is. You can scroll up and down and see your messages, you can tap back, you can reply, you can type it out letter by letter if you're, as you're saying, doing an acronym or a word that's a more colloquial term or a curse
Sure, we
word.
could. Yeah. A more
Otherwise known
colloquial
as
term. Yes, I like that. I like that phrase.
yeah, as a colloquial term of shit. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Uh-huh.
Now, being able to do that on your watch is absolutely nuts, and the speed that I was able to do it too. I for one have never liked the previous Apple Watch solution, which was, that little touchpad and you would like write out the letters. I
Yeah,
hated that.
yeah. I have tried to use that before. It's mixed, especially because my handwriting is so terrible. And then you take that and try to do it with your finger on a screen, it's even worse. And you can't go fast. You have to like let it recognize stuff, and it doesn't recognize my handwriting well, which is my fault. But this is a much better solution. I agree with you.
Dude, this weekend was crazy. And I'll tell you what, one of the things that I was doing this weekend was testing the battery life of the Apple Watch Ultra, Noah. I don't know if you've had the chance to like give it the full beans and see how it goes, but it's wild.
Yeah, I will say I am at 52%. I've had this active. I have this off the charger, so I charged it to 100% 26 hours ago. So it's been 26 hours, and in that time, I've recorded about an hour and 15 minutes of walking and about an hour of biking. I wore it to bed and it did sleep tracking, and I wore it during the day and it did whatever normal stuff it does. So 26 hours of pretty much continuous use, including, workout logging, and it's at 52%. It lost 48% of its battery in that time. Pretty crazy.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, it's just nuts. I love it.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
Apple Watch has been that 18-hour rating since day one. Series 0, they said 18 hours. And it never went up for 7 years until they just said, all right, you know what? Fine. We'll just make one that's super chunky and huge, and it'll have more battery. And I was like, that's all you needed to do. I'm sold. I'm done, buddy. Give me that. Because you know what, Noah? I took my watch out of the box at noon on Friday, and I didn't plug it in until today at 4 p.m.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
I had over 2 full days of usage, and it was not at 100% when I unboxed it. It was at like 90. So 90% down to 6% in over 2 days. That's insane, bro. I wasn't
Yeah.
even on low power mode.
Yeah, they really got the battery life right on this thing. They did not lie when they said 48 hours. It really does seem to be that.
I think they said 36, and I think they underestimated it, frankly.
Oh yeah, 30. Yeah, 36, because it was twice as much as it was before. Yeah, you're right. No, they underestimated it then, 100%. Maybe 36 if you have cellular on it and you're like logging tons of workouts and doing all kinds of stuff. But if you're like doing a reasonable, more not reasonable, but like a more normal amount of stuff, I guess, 36 hours definitely seems like an underestimation.
The 60-hour that they quoted for low power mode, I think you could probably get just in normal usage if you're really careful. It is like, huh. I legitimately don't know how they did this, except for the obvious, which is just bigger battery, same chip. That would be my guess. It's, I think, a pretty fair and pretty simple, obvious, I might even say, guess. But the end result is you have an absolutely insane display, which is huge. It's like comical. I get notifications and I'm like, whoa, they're so big.
Yeah.
And the working keyboard, I can literally just type and I can just text my friends on the watch. And by the way, I'm left-handed. I'm using my non-dominant hand, one finger, and it's totally fine. How did they do that?
That's they nailed it with this Apple Watch as far as I can tell. They really did.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of people were like, "Oh, wow, here we go again. Another YouTuber buys the Apple Watch and isn't even going to use any of its features. He just wants the expensive Apple Watch to flex on his friends." Nah, bro. Here's the thing. The Apple Watch Ultra is great that it has all those extra features and all the fitness stuff. They're keeping true to the brand. That's what the Apple Watch has always been. It's not about, having Angry Birds on your wrist. It's about tracking your health and fitness and keeping you going and also telling the time and giving you useful information. But the Apple Watch Ultra doesn't need to be worn by extreme 10-time Olympian athlete climbing up a face of a cliff. Like, you don't need to do that to be able to find the Apple Watch Ultra a good value. If you have a big wrist and a big old life and you need lots of battery and you got a big old finger that you can't wait to type your friends with, that sounds a little odd. Anyway.
And a big old heart that has a Apple Watch sized hole in it.
Yeah, and it's shaped like an Ultra with a flat screen and that weird chunky boy coming out the side, which I'm not even that mad about anymore, honestly. Like,
yeah, the one
fine.
I gotta say, I'm not mad about it. The digital crown digs into my skin a little bit sometimes.
So yeah, wait, you told me about that, but I'm not sure, like, how are you getting it to do that? What's the process that causes that?
Well, okay, let me see. If I'm holding it like this, if I bring my wrist down like this, kind of get my arm out of the way, then it's fine. If my wrist, my arm is flat across, sometimes it'll kind of dig into my skin a little bit. And depending on how I'm like sitting, like right now I'm sitting, kind of my hands are on my lap and I'm just, twiddling the crown, and sometimes it does dig into my skin a little bit and it's a little bit harder to turn. Do you not see this at all? Like, you can't make it happen?
I have not experienced that. I mean, if I push down on the crown, as you say, I can. No, with the hand flat, definitely not. There's like lots of clearance. If my hand is up like this, then I can feel it a little bit, but not to the point where I would be irritated by it.
I mean, maybe it's the way I'm wearing it, or maybe it's my wrist or something. It does happen a little bit. It's not, the worst thing in the world, but it is a bigger crown, a bigger digital crown. And it's also, it has like those, the teeth or whatever that make it easier to turn when you have gloves on. That was why they did it. But it is a different shape of the crown. So just, something that I'll bring up because it does happen to me sometimes, but not a big deal.
Oh Oh, I just accidentally triggered the other thing that I really like, which is at night you can just like flick up on the crown. Let me get it to actually go. And then go into the red mode. Have you done this,
Mm.
Noah? It's
I
super cool actually at night. I really like it.
I don't even have that watch face as one of my watch faces. I
Really?
guess I should use it.
It
I
looks
just
so
set it up.
good.
I know. I just set up my watch like I used the same faces that I had on my previous one, but I guess I should give that one a
No.
fair
You
try.
gotta okay, keep all your normal watch faces, but you gotta add the additional one because
All
first of
right.
all, it has a metric ass load of complications. I think it's
It's
I think
true.
it's 8. So there's 4 subdials and then there's 4 around the sides. And then you can change whether you want it to show minutes or seconds or hours. Or I guess minutes and seconds are the same unit, but it can show the hour, it can show the minute, it can show your latitude and longitude around there. There's like so much stuff. And look at this. I'm so smart. I color coded it. So I made the watch face the same color of no, I'm hitting the buttons. No, it's the same kind of green as the band, so it all looks matchy matchy. It's amazing.
All right. I will get that. I'll dig that watch face up out of the stack and I'll give it a try.
Good. How many watch faces do you normally have?
I have three. I have my standard watch face, my watch face for while I'm exercising, and my sleep watch face. So I have three, and I have what's it called? The shortcuts, automations or whatever they call it, set up to
Mm.
automatically switch between them. So that's my setup.
Oh, you've got them all. You're not even swiping. You're just getting them to do it their own. Wow. What's so? Is it just a timer?
No, it does. When I activate the sleep focus, it goes to the sleep watch face. When it
Wow.
deactivates the sleep focus, it goes back to the standard face. When you start an exercise, it goes to the exercise face. When you end an exercise, it can go back. So I just have it. Sometimes I swipe, but it's pretty automatic. And I do like that setup. I do like it.
Wow. That's fancy. You know what? That is impressive. I basically I had set up the California watch face when I got my Series 5 and I basically didn't change it until well, now when I got the Ultra. So, I got to step up my game here. You've got your multiple band routine, you've got your face routine. I'm feeling a little bit like a boomer here where I just put on one face and one band and left it for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean that's casual Apple Watch enjoyer versus the alpha Apple Watch expert, you know.
The Chad Apple Watch Ultra comes along and just says, "Everyone else, sit down, because I'm
Mhm.
here." And I'll
Mhm.
tell you, Noah, it is. I was so skeptical. I know we both were. We talked about it before the event. We were like, "Oh, that's an ugly looking render. It's not gonna be good." And then they released it, and we were like, "Huh, okay." And now that I've got it, I am sold 100%. This was worth every penny. I'm keeping it forever.
Yeah, I really like the look of this thing. It's very chunky, but I like, it's silver. It kind of has like a more silver look, whereas before my Series 5 was like the black aluminum or whatever,
Yeah,
space gray, whatever they called it, but it was the black one. So it's a lighter look,
same.
which is different, but I do like it. And I like the speaker cutout and the orange action button, and then you flip it around on the bottom and it's sort of like an off-white kind of like cream color maybe, and then there's
Mm,
like screws, there's kind of big screws in there. I don't know, it just looks so like rugged and like durable, or it's like a real big old thing, you know what I mean? And
it
I
is a
like
big
that.
old thing,
It
absolutely.
is. And I like
And
that. It
I have
looks
to
like it.
say, I think it looks rugged, but not too rugged. Like I feel like you could still maybe not with the orange band, but you could definitely put like a metal link on it and it would look so classy.
Oh yeah, it's rugged, but not in the way that like a Garmin watch or one of the other watches would be. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Aha, jinx. We said absolutely at the same time. Ha 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 ha.
Oh man.
Oh man, all beans. Bro, I'm so excited for our in-person episode next week. That's going to be so fun.
Yeah, we got to think of something. We're not going to have any new products at that point, or maybe I'm getting my new AirPods on I think Tuesday, so we could mention that. But we got to think of something fun to do for next
That's
week.
true. We will have to think of something. We'll get creative with it. We'll make it happen. If anything, it'll just be fun to like not have that screen barrier between us. We can finally I want to experience the wall panels falling firsthand. I've been looking at it through my screen for a year now.
That's true. You can understand the struggle that I go through every week to deal with these wall panels.
What will we do if I accidentally like fix it? What if I find a way to keep them up there?
It would be good to have, I will
Hmm.
say. I think it would, if we did fix them, people were talking about crazy glue before. I think if we fixed them, it would definitely take an element away from the show. And so it might
I
be one of
agree.
those things. It's one of those things where you have the tools and you have the way, but you choose not to do it. Like you've created this thing and you know that it's going to be used for evil, and so you choose to destroy it instead of let it fall into the wrong hands. So maybe
Exactly.
we'll see what happens. We got to think about it.
I, for one, am just most curious about how they found a material that is impervious to wall panels.
I know this is like wall panel creators hate this one material,
It's like the clickbait article, but real.
but it's real, 100% real.
Like what did they put on that? Is it Teflon? Is that like a non-stick wall?
I guess so. I mean, we could maybe like make cookies on it or something. That could be
I
a
think
good a
I
good
think it would
test.
work. So
Yeah.
there is so here's the issue, right? Is at this point I feel like fixing the wall panels wouldn't actually do anything because the wall panels have become sort of part of the identity of this show.
Yeah, that's right. And we still have that one wall panel that we have to sign and ship to someone. And we're going to do that when you come
Yeah,
out here. We
I feel
haven't
really
forgotten about
bad.
that. I know, but
We
we
haven't
haven't forgotten
forgotten.
about it. And it's going to happen. But absolutely, they're an they're a piece, a part of the show now. I absolutely agree.
In fact, I don't even know if people see this, but I have wall panels too. If I widen my shot here, look, these are the same wall panels here. So we
Hmm.
have this sort of bridge across the nation. These wall panels connecting us all together, um, sort of connecting us across the nation. And then if you kind of go the other direction and connect the long way, it kind of goes around the whole world. So if you think about it, we're all connected by these wall panels, and mine don't fall though. Mine just stay up. They just
Hmm.
they're on the wall instead of the floor.
I mean, they are wall panels and not floor panels, but I have to say that's a beautiful sentiment there. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's really beautiful when you think about it. It's just like what we set out to do was texture the wall to make it look more interesting. But what we did is start a cultural revolution.
Yeah, I think we need more people to get these wall panels and just create a big network of people around the world just sharing their love of wall panels.
In fact, I almost wonder if people have bought these wall panels through my Amazon affiliate link. I don't know if that I ever linked it. Did
Probably
I?
not. I don't
What the
know.
hell? Bro, so you know what? Somebody on August 30th, 2022 spent some big bucks on Amazon because from one sale I got a commission of $200.
Wow.
I don't know
Good
what
for
they
you.
bought, but good job. Keep it up, honestly. I like it. You know what? Maybe someone might have bought a MacBook Pro.
Good for them.
I made a video close to that time frame about the 14-inch MacBook Pro that was on a really good deal. I think someone bought one. So I hope that's the case. I hope that I helped someone find the MacBook of their dreams. But what I want to do now is see if I can do a quick search-a-rooney here, see if anyone has bought the wall panels through my affiliate. That would be interesting. I don't know how I would find this though. I forget how to do this.
I think we we have to get this company, this wall panel company, to sponsor the podcast. I think that makes a lot of
Oh,
sense.
yes. That's a fantastic idea. And because the wall panels, of course, are blameless in this, where the wall is our enemy, the panels are our sidekick.
Exactly. It's the wall and or the adhesive. That's
Yes.
the problem here. The wall panels, they're just poor, innocent bystanders that are constantly, every week getting thrown to the floor, and
Yeah,
we feel terrible for them.
we do. The wall panels are very sympathetic. They've been a feature of the channel for 2 years now because I put these same wall panels, in fact, were the original background to the podcast, and in fact, the background of my whole YouTube channel from February to July of 2021. They're well traveled. They are storied and rich in history.
They sure are, and now they're in a very sorry state, and I feel terrible for them. And maybe we'll help them, or maybe we won't, but we'll keep them in our thoughts.
You know what you guys are going to want to keep in your thoughts?
What's that?
Noah, what are some of the key features of the iPhone 14?
Just in general,
Yeah,
dynamic island, always on
great one.
display.
Yes.
No SIM card tray.
Gone. Replaced with a little block of plastic.
Yep, we love that. Bigger camera system.
Very good. Not shaking
That
anymore either.
That's right, they fixed it. Good for them. Purple, the purple color, which is kind of growing
Very
on me, to be
true.
honest.
It's not bad. I like it.
It kind of is. You see it when you see it in a good light, in a direct light, you can definitely tell it's purple. And then I like it. So,
Yeah, exactly. Keep naming more
it's
of the
not bad.
features. What else have we got?
What else? What else do we have? What am I forgetting? What am I
Two
forgetting?
two big ones that I can think of.
Oh, the satellite
Yeah.
connectivity. Oh, and crash detection.
Crash detection. I
Ah,
mentioned
yes.
earlier
Yes.
that I was able to test the Apple Watch Ultra through some plane travel. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you will not have to wait long, but I did in fact test crash detection for the iPhone 14 Pro. And let me just say, I spent a good 12 hours yesterday filming. And I think you guys are going to like this video.
I think I saw a tweet or something on Twitter that kind of had me thinking about this, and yeah, I kind of had a feeling that you did it, but I didn't know the details.
So the thing is, I think a lot of people worry that crash detection is going to be too trigger happy and that you're going to like stub your toe and it's going to call the cops and say that you were in a car crash. And I think this video will probably demonstrate to you that that is not the case. Now, I will divulge some details since this is a pretty niche audience. You guys are some close people that I trust and that I imagine will probably watch this video even if I divulge some of the details. Now, the biggest one is that we did not get it to detect any crashes.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And the second biggest one, or sort of the sub biggest one, is that we totaled 4 cars. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So 4 cars met their fate. I don't know, bro. How much crashing do you have to do to get some detection around here?
That is because I think it was what Tech Racks or I think it was that channel that did the crash detection, and it seemed to work very well for them.
So okay, I personally believe that our video is going to be more entertaining than the Tech Racks video. Uh, I personally did not really like that video. I think it was a little bit hasty looking, and he did get it to detect. But the thing that is interesting is the crash in that video honestly didn't look all that bad.
Hmm.
We did quite substantially more than that and did not get anything to trigger. And I that sounds like a spoiler, but you're gonna have to watch the video to really get the context and to come along on the absolutely crazy journey that was this video, because it is just not what you think. And cool guy 5555551, I did not crash 4 RC cars. I am talking about real actual cars that I drove up into a point in our testing where we exceeded the safety ability of driving it ourselves. Like, this is some legitimate shit. And we totaled 4 cars. Like,
my
it's crazy.
That is, yeah, that's 4, man. Were any Porsches or Audis harmed in the making of this video?
God, no. No. The total cost was, I think, $700.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I should also clarify that not all of the cars were running and driving. 2 of those were cars that were not, in fact, running and driving. But I do want to also add that unlike Tech Racks, we were thorough in testing the different scenarios, because you remember Apple talked about 4 types of crashes, right? Front impact, rear end impact, side impact, and a rollover test. We tested all 4 of those things.
Even the rollover?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Folks, we see, that's why, like, this is the thing that's gonna that kind of got to me, is because obviously, I've been planning this video. Last, I think it was Wednesday, Tech Racks posted their video, and I was like, crap. Because I know for a fact that this video is not gonna have the impact, pun intended, that video had. Even though I like to think, maybe I'm biased, I definitely am, but I like to think that this video has a lot more to offer than that video. So I'm hoping that people will be able to watch both and enjoy both. But, whew, you guys, this, I think, is probably the craziest video that I have ever done.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty crazy, and honestly, like, you could give as many spoilers as you want, and I think people would still watch it. I mean, you're talking about like
Yeah.
crashing a bunch of cars in different ways and like whatever. Like, come on, how can you not watch that? That's crazy.
It is. I mean, it's just. I can't even believe the stuff that we did for this video. It was a lot of fun. It was a little scary at times, to be perfectly honest. Let me see if I can actually pull up a clip for you guys here. I think I
Little
can
behind the scenes
isolate.
action.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
Okay, I'm gonna. That'll be my parting gift to you guys here. Is I will pull out a little chunk of this video, and I will give you guys a sneak peek. But while I'm sort of preparing this, I am curious. Do you guys think that crash detection should be able to detect, like, Apple sort of phrased this as severe crashes? What is your definition of severe? Because I think that's one of the biggest things we wanted to test is like, Apple says severe. Is that like you're going to have to get cut out of the car? Or is that like, something that could happen to you feasibly where you would be, alert and sentient? Like, I don't know what that line is.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I guess they definitely kept it vague on purpose. I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the idea is I would almost think, any sort of crash where there's going to be some kind of damage to a car, anything beyond like a fender bender, I feel like you might want it to trigger. I feel like it would be better safe than sorry. And oftentimes you probably are going to call emergency services and have them like send an officer down to just sort of assess the situation and make sure that people are behaving how they should. So I don't know. I would expect any decent crash, where there's going to be some kind of damage or some kind of issue, that I would expect it to go off. But I don't know. Severe is a vague term, so I don't know.
That's true. It is a vague term. I don't know that Apple has maybe left it open-ended intentionally, or if we're just not able to get to the level that Apple was looking for. I really don't know. I'm waiting on the teaser to upload. It's processing right now. I will get you guys a quick sneak peek before this episode is over. But like, I genuinely don't know what factors go into this. It might rely more on GPS data than I was able to determine with a more localized testing scenario. But that was the same as the TechRex situation, where basically he was in like a junkyard, essentially. So the GPS data didn't change very much. Perhaps the speed, but full disclosure, folks, we got up to some pretty decent speeds in here. We had some pretty big impacts. I don't even know. The only thing I can do at this point is give you guys that teaser, because I have now uploaded it. We've got an unlisted view here. This is your first sneak peek at what I was up to this weekend.
So if you do have an iPhone with crash detection, you want to make sure that it's not going to just go off all the time if you're, let's say, a little careless. No crash detection
Oh my god.
All right. Let's do some testing, right?
That's just a little tiny taste.
Oh yeah, that I can tell that's going to be a pretty interesting video.
I didn't even give you guys any of the crashes because I want all of that to speak for itself. But this was a really crazy weekend.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. And do you know what else is crazy?
What's that, Noah?
The fact that we have been streaming for an hour and 8 minutes.
Oh, heavens. Wow.
We're way over time. We gotta these poor people are being held captive here. We gotta let them go.
We do. I think you're right. We, of course, being me, your host, Luke Miani.
And me, your host, Noah Rubin. We'll see you next week for a very special in-person episode, and have a great night.